Right, Path of Exile gamers. Let's go over it. This is gonna be my early maps. Well, technically we are in red tier maps, but it's still an early build guide as we can get a ton more DPS as bows scale really well in this game. So the first and most important thing is to show off the gameplay, and then I want to go over the build in here. But I will also have the pop for you guys. So showing right out, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and do a tier 16. So we're just doing basically dunes maps. The reason why I like this map is there's not a lot of doors that get in the way of things, but you can play whatever you want as far as the skill goes. I'll show you via the gameplay here. So you can see we're absolutely going to be shredding content. It's super fast. However, we're going to go even faster later when we actually swap our helmet. So now that I've shown off this, I want to show that you can play whatever skill that you want. If you're I really like Lightning Arrow, you don't have to play Elemental Hit of the Spectrum. However, since I also run the Trinity support, I'm going to swap it out with something else for now, as Trinity is a mechanic where you have to build what's called Resonance. So let's go ahead and show off that we can play whatever skill that you want to play, and you're still going to delete content. So again, I showed you guys Elemental Hit at the start, and then this is Lightning Arrow. And then I will also show you guys Ice Shot, because again, this will let you play with whatever you want to play with. Now, granted, if you are just playing one element, you could scale this even further into one singular element as far as damage goes, and that can be something to consider. If you're wondering, why do I like Elemental Hit now? Because I usually play Ice Shot and Lightning Arrow, and I like those. Still great skills. You can get a huge amount of damage. Now, a lot of this won't show up in POB because how it works is the skill Elemental Hit of the Spectrum, you gain 15% more damage for each ailment on the enemy that's an elemental one. So if I hold Alt, it'll tell me what these, it should tell me what these ailments are. Well, okay. So the elemental ailments can be all of the Freeze, Shock, Ignite. Those are all ones that people are familiar with, but there's also other ailments that you can apply on Eldritch Currency, which would be the Sapped Ground, and then on my Mercenary, and also I guess I'll mouse over this, because usually I just like to include the POB. Keep in mind, this isn't perfected here, this is just kind of using this as a stepping stone here, but it also has Brittle Ground, so that's another ailment, which makes it so we have increased critical strike chance against them. That's the base. So it's a huge amount of DPS boost when you get 15% more per ailment. And if we can, I don't know what the actual max limit is. I'm guessing that you can put in 6, but there could be other ones that you could throw on. But I'm not sure if Ash counts as another one. But basically, there's a lot of ailments that you can throw in. It's 15% more damage. Right now, I believe we tag 5. So yeah, 15 times 5 is a pretty good amount of DPS. But I'll just show you guys a little bit more of what I've been doing as far as map gameplay, just so you guys can get an idea of how fast the build is and how we actually play. So pretty much all I do is I just shoot my whatever skill that I want to use, and it's pretty fast. We also spec into shrines here, and then another reason why I like dunes is because you can interact with this relatively fast, but keep in mind right now these things can definitely one-shot you. So if it's not really good currency and you're I kind of want to level up, you may not want to engage with the mechanic. It's not this class is not tanky. It doesn't matter how tanky you are. There's people with 10k ES or life, and they're still melt into these bosses, or the mercenaries, so to speak. My mercenary is actually pretty good too. I want to show you guys my mercenary. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just gonna walk. And you'll see that my mercenary is getting a lot of the job done. But now that I've shown you guys some gameplay, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the actual build. As, again, keep in mind, I'm not considered min-maxed yet at all. We have a long ways to go, because Path of Exile is a pretty complex game. Again, I will include the POB, but I think it's good to explain certain things. And one thing that I don't really understand how it works on POB is the mercenaries. So there are actually several mercenaries that you can use. I've found to be the Kineticist to be one of the good aggressive ones for damage. Here's what I have on. Do I think this is the best? I think that the Kinetic Bolt skill is actually the best, ideally with multiple projectiles, but they still do pretty good amounts of damage. You can see this one's got Ele weakness, and then we have Inspiring Cry. You can get one that also has haste. I mean, ideally you try to get one that has, maybe if it can have determination. I'm not sure how these roll on it, but if you can get one with determination or grace, that would free up another aura for you, because right now I'm manually running grace here. But yeah, this is what we are running. Again, the most important things is giving us that brittle ground. You can also apply exposure if you want to apply exposure on that. One of the things that is important for the build though that I like is specifically Perquel's Toe. This gives you nearby allies damage with hits is lucky, which is pretty good. But honestly, this mercenary's DPS is so good, I almost want to just run something else just to increase their DPS even further. This one's a little bit risky, which is the replica Abyssius. So it gives them a bunch of damage, but they will take more ally damage. But they're actually pretty tanky to the point where I don't really worry about it. I've actually dropped my the little ballista that I was running. I did try out the new ballista skill. However, it only kind of shoots once, so I didn't really like it that much. But that was something that like I had recently swapped to, because this is also going to be a video guide for the people that are like watching on my live stream and they're wondering like, why am I swapping certain things? Like, because I get a lot of questions all the time. Where like, should I swap ice shot? I'm following your build. Honestly, play what you want. But in terms of numbers, I want to say, as far as I'm aware of right now, Elemental Hit of the Spectrum with this new league, because you're able to have this little like helper, the mercenary, you can get even more applications of all of the ailments, the elemental ailments on the enemy. It's a lot easier to apply. I also had swap to crit, and if you're wondering like when should you swap to crit, I would say about 90-ish. Like right now we're at 91. We still can get maybe like 4 levels relatively comfortable. I mean, to get to 100 in PoE, unless you're doing like legions, it takes a really long time. But as far as it goes, I will link the skill tree. Again, I will link the pod down below for the progression. But the things that I have actually noticed that were actually easy to anoint, because obviously there are really good anoints that are like kind of more expensive, like the gold ones. Like all of the good ones for the elements up here, a lot of them are all like gold. But there's actually a pretty good like ice or cold pen one over here that's pretty much the exact same. But anointing certain ones can be very expensive. This one is cheap. It is 2 violets and a black, and this grants us onslaught. And I really like this because it frees up a flask for onslaught, but it also gives you increased armor and evasion rating, and then it also gives you increased effective onslaught, which gives you more attack and cast speed and move speed. There's also a few set of nodes here where we definitely could spec out of, but like going through the campaign and completing all your maps just for all the Atlas points, it is very valuable. So I really heavily focus in on all like the movement speed nodes, as you can tell, because even if someone has like even more DPS, don't always think that like DPS is like the only thing that matters, because when you get towards the end of the game, speed is actually a pretty important thing. As long as you're able to one-shot things, the difference between doing like a million and billions of DPS, does it really matter if you're one-shotting them? The answer is no. But basically this is what we have. Again, I'll link the pod. This one's kind of a mediocre one, to be honest, though. The level of crit strike support gems, once I level up, we can get other things. We can get another jewel socket here, we can get another frenzy charge, and what I actually want to do is get a power charge on crit. So one thing to note with this, since I had swapped to crit, is it might not show that we have that much critical strike chance, which is 37 right now. Actually, it's with this skill, with our elemental hit. But every single time we shoot, we will get more inspiration charges, which gives us additional crit. But on top of that, the brittle ground, which the mercenary has, that doesn't get applied because it's enemies on your brittle ground. Hits have critical strength against them, so it applies that debuff to them, which is great. But that's base crit, which is pretty massive, because our bow right here is got 6.5 crit chance. So again, upgrading the base crit is going to make that go up way higher. And then obviously once we activate our diamond flask, we're going to get even more. We get another 100% crit with this. But keep in mind though, because I know a lot of you guys might be following this guide and you maybe came from Diablo, 100% global critical strike chance is based off of the actual items crit. So if it's like 6.5, so if like I activate this, you'll see it doesn't go to 100%. We have 37, I pop it, and then we're at 49. So it does give you a good amount of crit. And then again, if I start activating this, we're at like 50. The buff's up pretty much the whole time we're in the map, except for if it's like going to a boss, I can just manually pop the flask, and usually, unless it's like a difficult modifier where it has like more boss life or something, then it will take a little bit longer. But for the most part, like everything is pretty smooth. In terms of like the skills that I use, by the way, I hold down dash and I just spam on the Elemental Hit of Spectrum. That's the only skill that I use, and then if the golem dies, we can revive the golem. But honestly, the golem isn't really important or key in this build. Just so we can go over like kind of how the build functions. Is there any more? Okay, yeah, there's still at least some monsters here. But again, in terms of the playstyle, it's the exact same as Lightning Arrow or Ice Shot. It doesn't really matter what you decide to go for, which is awesome. But again, the Mercenary actually can kill the stuff pretty fast as well. But yeah, all you need to do is really hold down this, and then I spam on this. If I'm at the boss and my Mercenary moves, you'll see that, like, see that chilled ground that they apply? If they're at the boss, and let's say that this is the boss right here, you can go point blank with the boss because we have returning projectiles now. And the reason why I added returning projectiles is because, well, normally the bosses will walk up to you, but we need the ground to actually apply on them. Now, since I was going over the skill tree, this is why I was going to mention this, is because we have what's called far shot. So the projectiles gain more damage as they travel, which makes it so you'd think, why would you want to go in melee range if you get more damage? Well, when they do return, that does count. So if you do run returning projectiles, you're getting a bonus. We would ideally want to run what's called a Nimbus Ring, although those are expensive, and this is very budget friendly. There's nothing in this build. I haven't even gotten one Divine as a drop. Not even one Divine. And we're pretty much in we're in the first weekend. This is like 20, type in played. Sometimes I do go AFK, but like you can see we're a day and 6 hours in terms of total time, but I also kind of alt tab out while I'm doing video stuff. So you could get this build definitely done within 24 hours. So you can get this whole thing done within like a weekend is probably a better way to put it, because 24 hours. Some people do grind pretty hard, but like if you're doing like, nice little full day sessions or a weekend, you get like 3 days, you could get this build done. And again, I have the leveling guide from level 1. This is the same exact build that I've been showing you guys. But as far as our things go, yeah, I mentioned far shot is because we have returning projectile support. And keep in mind, I don't even have, look, this is level 11. I still got a while to go with some of these gems. Some gems take longer to level than others. But as far as what I'm running in the Ascendancy, one thing that to note here, if you want to get chain is excellent. I always talk about how good chain is while leveling and stuff. However, you can get a corruption on a quiver. This actually, I think we spent like 20 or 30 chaos on it. One of the more expensive pieces of gear is to get a quiver that actually has chain that isn't complete like dog, because what we do want to try to get with it is resistances. You can get attack speed, increased damage with bow skills, elemental damage, flat numbers, physical. Any of these are great, and then also like dex is kind of nice. But basically this gives us chain, therefore we no longer need this. Now you could still get this, it will give you fast clear speed, but right now I'm also running tornado, so I don't really worry too much about the additional chain off of projectiles. It is good, but it's map dependent. But we also have the Mirage Archers, because I think numerically it's probably one of the best DPS ones, especially for just clearing out as a mapper. And then we get Gathering Winds. I was trying Wind Wards just so we can get extra damage reduction. I honestly wanted to say the mercenaries, as of right now, they're so incredibly powerful that it does not matter how much damage reduction you get. It doesn't matter if you have 10k life, they're one-shotting you. And so once these get patched out, maybe this could be like something I could recommend, but like it didn't prevent one-shots. You think that it's because you get like this 10 stacks of Gale Force over here that you'd be able to survive, but even though it's like, because you get 10 stacks and it says 4% less damage, I'm like, okay, I got 40% damage reduction. Now keep in mind you have to build it up, but like you don't get hit that often. I feel like they don't care about that, they just burst right through it, but it's still not a bad thing to take, because this is okay. The problem is that damage reduction doesn't always really apply, but it does help out in Sniper's Mark, which is something that we do apply. But this is what I'm running right now as far as the Ascendancy points goes. And then as far as gear goes, let's go ahead and go over that. So here's my bow, and we're using what's called Awakened Path of Exile trait. I also put it in the pin of like the very first video if you guys need to like learn how to use it. Basically, all we want is a elemental DPS bow here. So just look for any bow. Okay, and I know it says like a divine here, but this is actually like way off. Hold on, let's go to this. Also, again, I will include the POB here. But as far as like the bow goes, you can see that you don't have to go for this here. It might just be because I don't know why it's showing that this is that expensive. Okay, we don't need it. Technically, we could put 5 link, but 5 linking something is really not that difficult. I don't care if it is mirrored or corrupted, as long as it has like the DPS that we want. So what we're really looking for is a high DPS, but it cannot have chaos damage because we do not benefit. Oh, you know what? It's because it's registering that. Okay. So let's go to specifically chaos damage. We do not want any chaos damage here, so we want to make sure that it has no chaos damage. All right, that's very key here, and then we want to sort by DPS, and I believe we played like 20 or 30 Chaos Orbs for it, but that was at that time, and usually now it's probably going to be even better. So you can see you can still get 1,000 DPS bow. Again, you do not want to have Chaos damage. Oh, is it Chaos damage to attacks? Is like the key word. So yeah, no chaos damage to attacks is the key thing that we don't want to have. Okay, there we go. So you can still see it's pretty close to 1,000 DPS. Again, this is 10 chaos orbs. Look right there. There you go. Ideally, you want to try to get something maybe with like some crit over here, so it's like not 5%. So here's like a spine. which is the exact same thing that I have. Mine just happens to be a little bit better because I searched, you know, I don't just search once and I buy. Usually I'll leave this on another monitor and then you can do like the active search. But basically, it's within reason for most people to acquire as you progress. So anyways, that's what we're running for the bow. There's not a important stat to actually look for on it. Just, again, all elemental damage. You do not want any other sorts of damage like chaos, basically. It's the only thing that you don't want to calculate when you're looking at DPS. So that's this item over here. And then we have the first ring over here. It's honestly, this is a pretty bad ring. And then we have our gloves over here. One of the things that I'm running is cold exposure on hit. The reason why I am running cold exposure over any of the other elements is specifically because I'm running an item called the Blizzard Crown. So what Blizzard Crown does is you get more cold damage, like flat damage. It's kind of nice. And then your hits treat cold resistance as 10% higher than the actual value. So if this goes into the negative, you also apply even more negative cold res to them. So if they have, let's say, 10% cold res, and then I have like my cold penetration, or and here I'm running Trinity, so this also gives me 16 penetration, and then I have some on like the passive tree. So all of this will add up. So if let's say they have 10 cold res, and then I have let's say negative 30, right? Then it would be negative 20 cold res, right? This makes it go 10% higher, which also counts the negative. So if they're negative 20 cold res, it now goes to negative 30. So Blizzard Crown is a really huge upgrade of DPS, and it is really good to apply DPS. But then it also is just like an item that we can use. Like, we could still benefit off of the prefixes and suffixes of this. It's not like a unique item. It's really good. One thing to note, though, is do not put any Eldritch currency on this, as that will remove the implicit, which that's a mistake that I've made before. Anyways, as far as our chest piece goes, this is just a 6-link. I actually crafted this. I believe we spent 30 Chaos Orbs, and I hit it with one of the essences that gives you an evasion rating, and it rolled double resistance for 150 life, so I'm like, let's take it. So this was a really cheap item for me, but I want to recommend you guys probably not to get a Syndicate's Garb, because its dex requirements are super high until like later in the game, but once you get like Hiri's Truth, it gives you so much dex that like it's okay. So keep in mind, don't try to get this if you're still kind of using my video guide as a progression. Keep that in mind as well. But yeah, what I honestly want is Hiri's. It's a chest piece that gives you cold damage and crazy amounts of spell suppression. And so what that would do if I did get Hiri's is I would be able to unspec out of like several points from the spell suppression, and then we can get even more damage, because Hiri's gives you like 2,900 evasion. It's like pretty close to 3,000 evasion rating. So that's really good. But to get a 6-link Hiri's is pretty expensive. So that's why I just bought a good base, which is, again, Syndicate's Garb is kind of the one that it has the highest potential for like the flat evasion rating to start off with the base. I just bought it as a 6-link, didn't look at the stats at all, and then just scoured it, qualityed it up, and then yeah. Anyways, as far as the other ring over here, just looking for flat damage and then attribute requirements, and then also we could craft like because I think this is this is a suffix that was crafted on it. Instead of getting this fire and lightning damage, what I should actually craft on it is a resistance which is like chaos and whatever resistance, which you can craft up the bench. So if you don't have it discovered, it's like and chaos res as a suffix, so you can craft one of these on it for 3 chaos. It's like whatever and chaos resistance, but my resistances are almost all cap. I need to get into Series Promise, and then we'll be a-okay. I just need to get like a little bit of chaos res, and then we'll be good for the most part. And then for our belt, we're running Stygian Vise. And then for a jewel here, I'm putting just damage, and I guess there's more resistances, and then lightning damage to attacks. Basically, you'll see the same thing in most spots. One thing that I do like to get on a Stygian Vise, though, is to get armor here, because even though it's a small, like, 5 to 8% like damage reduction, I still think that it's quite valuable, especially since you have no armor really in the build. I guess this has a little bit of armor, but nice stuff. I was actually running, it's another thing I want to mention, with one of these strikers. He has determination. I actually felt like this guy was pretty good to run, instead of like the current mercenary, which just runs the inspiring cry. But it also plays elemental weakness, and this AI is just really passive on like how aggressive it is to attack targets. I actually don't think that they are bad for DPS. They actually still can kill stuff relatively quick. It's not as fast as our current mercenary, which is called the Kineticist, but the ones that I recommend, Kineticist and Striker, were really good. I honestly really didn't like this sniper character that had Grace. I had a lower tier one that actually had haste and grace, and then it also had ensnaring arrow, which makes the enemies take, well, I don't know if it says it on this, but it does make the enemies that are tethered to it take more damage normally, which is pretty good. So I'm not sure if that applies to everyone or just you, but that is something else that would maybe give you extra damage as far as like the mercenaries go. But as far as like the flasks go, I'll mouse over them. There's not really anything important to mention. But remember, if you are playing my build, in the very beginning, I did get Precise Technique, but you do not want to run Crit and Precise Technique. It would be counterintuitive. But Precise Technique is great until you're like at 90, and then you want to start getting all of the additional Crit over here. There's, instead of getting these two, you can get these two over here, and then there's more like Crit multi over here. But I'll probably end up changing up the tree a lot, as I'm basically like just finished like the campaign, and then I just started getting some currency, and so, well, I say I like just finished it, we're doing like T16 maps already, but I would say that don't feel like you have to always swap into Crit super early. You need to make sure that you can actually run Crit to make it good. But as far as the gems go, because I think this is something that's important, I'll mention some of the changes that I've done. So first off, our 6th link, which is the most important thing. Inspiration is really good, or elemental damage with attacks. It depends on what kind of colors you get. For the blue, if you are running Crit, then you want increased critical damage. And then we're also running Trinity. Keep in mind, Trinity is only really good with elemental hit. If you want to play with, let's say, Ice Shot or Lightning Arrow, you can consider running added lightning damage. If you're running, like, let's say, Lightning Arrow, you can run the Awaken one. It'll give you a plus additional level. One thing to note is Lightning Arrow heavily benefits from quality, because you get 2 additional targets from the quality, so make sure you try to get that quality up. The quality up for Ice Shot doesn't matter as much. It's increased angle, but Trinity is fantastic. But again, you need to make sure that you tag all elements with a high elemental bow. It shouldn't be that difficult. But then I also play Mirage Archer and Returning Projectiles, so again, that we can benefit off the returning arrows because they are measured in distance, so we get a benefit from it. So that's like our main skill that we use. And then this is our setup for Mana Forged Arrows. So we run Mana Forged Arrows, we run Tornado, we run Sniper's Mark, we run Frenzy, and then Cast on Critical Strike support. So the reason why we really like this is because the Mana Forged Arrow, which automatically will activate, will spawn in a Tornado, because it's going to crit eventually, and then the Tornado can get shot. And once the Tornado is getting shot, you can then chain those projectiles into the enemy, and you get way more DPS. And then also on the way back, you're getting another hit as well. The Frenzy grants us Frenzy charges, and then Cast on Critical Strike allows us to cast the other things. The last gem slot, because I do want to make this a 6 link, although I'll probably get a different bow. I want another 6 link bow, but ideally we would get another socket, and the last thing that I would put is Power Charge on Crit. This would then allow us to get even more crit in our build. For the helmet here, I'm playing a Stone Golem. It just kind of helps out with a little bit of regen. It's not like, well, let's see, what is the regen right here? So it's like, it's a small amount of regen, but any like degens, it kind of just works. There's also another bonus where you get golems grant 20% increased defenses, which is okay. You can run whatever golem that you want, though. But to keep the golem alive a little bit more, I'm running Minion Life and Meat Shield, but you don't really have to run these. This is like optional. Honestly, unless you have the minions to like respawn, which you can get with Elementalist, it dies quite often, and I don't have a lot of strength right now. Eventually, I do want to try to get more strength so I can max out specifically Steel Skin, because I really like this automation. And I'll talk about how to activate that. And then I'm also just running Grace. I still need to level this up, so this is like another arrow where we can get some extra survivability. For the amulet over here, oh, also, I guess I could show you guys the price. This one, I actually got it to drop as a perfect one, but if you don't get a perfect one, this thing is super cheap. You can get like a 40, let's go to like 40, and it's not going to be that much of a difference. I got lucky and it just dropped. But then we also have an enchant on it, which is Graceful Assault, because it's really cheap. And then on the quiver, you again just want arrows chained. That's the only important thing. As far as the clubs go, here's something to mention that's I want to mention. So we run Automation, More Duration, Steel Skin, and then I run Life Tap just because I don't have very much mana, and if I run out of mana, I don't want it to cut into not being able to be activated. So I just run Life Tap. So you'll see it actually is kind of like an aura automation. This is something I haven't really messed around with, or usually I just run cast with damage taken. But before that, I used to just run it on left click. They like nerfed that actually, so you can't run it anymore. But you'll see Steel Skin will automatically activate, and it's great because like every few seconds, just boom, Steel Skin, boom, Steel Skin. I love it. It's so good. But just as a heads up, because I was wondering why isn't it working, inside a town or inside here where you can have your ores, for some reason it doesn't activate. It only activates in maps, so keep that in mind if you want to run the setup. I love this setup. It is great. And then for our other one, I'm running Heralds of Ice here, and then Dash. These don't need to be 3-linked, by the way. The only thing that needs to be linked is Portal and Cast on Death support. And if you're wondering why am I running Cast on Death Portal, normally I don't run it, but there are a lot of these mercenaries where if you interact with them, they 100% one-shot you. And even though I know that it's going to one-shot me sometimes, and like I really don't know how to like prevent the one-shot from it. Again, it doesn't matter how strong you are. As of right now, they're going to patch it and change it. But right now, at the time of me making this video, you interact with them, they one-shot you. It feels terrible because I've watched all the streamers like die to it and like they get mad. But I get it because it does feel unfair and it's pretty a broken mechanic. But like if their reward is like 20 chaos orbs, or like if they have a divine orb. Again, I have not even gotten one divine to even spawn in. Like, it's not like I even failed it. But I haven't even gotten one divine. But if they have good rewards, I'll take that risk of losing the XP. But at the same time, I do want to say that watch out for those. Those are like really, really strong. That's why I run Cast on Death Portal as of right now. Later though, I would swap that out. We can run Second Wind. We can run maybe Hydrosphere. We'll definitely swap off of this later. The Cast on Death Portal, again, only these two need to be linked. The Dash is just because I like moving up and down terrain. Like the build has, I mean, you guys know, I love movement speed. Everything on my build in terms of like movement speed goes. Oh, also, by the way, I want to mention, because there's a lot of people that maybe have watched this for the first time, they come from like Diablo or something. Do not, and I repeat, do not look at this number and say, oh, look at this DPS, it's 19,000. I'll go equip lightning arrow, or let's say ice shot over here. Oh, wow, you get 67,000. Big number, go up. I could even remove, let's say, Trinity because it's not activated right now, and then, oh, big number, go to this. Don't look at the numbers. There's so many people that cheat what's called the POB, and they cheat it by adding things that they're not supposed to, and they also put up all of these buffs that they're not going to realistically have 100% of the time. Do not use this as a reference. And the reason why you can't is because there's a lot of things that don't activate in game, or you may not know the correct tag, and there's a lot of things that you have to know so much about Path of Exile to really get a huge benefit. Like you can do like your hits are lucky. Or something like this to like increase your DPS. There's like there's certain things that like you can activate, like this one, like your hits are lucky on let's see, this Merc over here, because we have this, right? So we have the Perkle's Toe, so this actually will activate, and yeah, we get way more lucky hit chance with this. Well, it's not lucky hit chance, it's all your damage is lucky, so then that way we could get some of these benefits. But like we're gonna have frenzy charges. Trinity has to build up in order for like the damage to show anyways, and then on top of that, elemental hit the spectrum, you get more damage for each element on the enemy. So we will then apply, right now we have 5, so 5 times 15, that's a big chunk of extra damage. I mean, just applying 2 ailments is basically a gem on its own. That's like a, you know, elemental damage with attack support gem. Really, really good stuff. So again, don't look at this DPS because I've had some people ask me like, what is your DPS? You're doing really good. And I'm telling you guys, it shows 19,000. This looks like nothing. But when you add up the Mirage Archers, all of the penetration, and once all of those things are activated, this number is way higher. And honestly, calculating a POB is kind of annoying because, again, you'd also calculate the Mercenary. There's also elemental weakness. We can throw in maybe a Doedri's Ring just so it can apply Ele weakness and Sniper's Mark. There's so many things to tag for like damage in Path of Exile. And again, I just wanted to stress that because a lot of people may not know certain things with Path of Exile. Because again, a lot of my viewers are from Diablo, so I try to mention some of these things. But that is going to be the build guide again. I'll include the POB down below in case any of you guys want to copy it or look at it. And if there's any ways to improve it, definitely let me know. It's my first time actually trying out Ele Hit of Spectrum, and man, this thing is so good at this league for sure. Because again, you get the follower, and I think we can even maybe, I'm assuming Ashes and some other, I don't know if it's an ailment, but I'm going to try to add in, there's Scorched Brittle and Sap. I know that we can apply Scorched Ground, and that would be another 15x damage. And again, once you start getting your multipliers up super high, the damage starts ramping up, like just like Diablo, we can get all these aspects of these multipliers. But yeah, crit is definitely going to be something super good. And then ideally, I would remove this, get a Corrupted Jewel that has immunity to corrupted blood, and then I just throw on either Forbidden Taste with use when you take a savage hit, or we can just run it Series Promise to make our damage go up even higher. But I'm pretty satisfied with this build as of right now, but it's going to get way stronger as we progress in the game. But that's going to wrap it up. I know there's a lot of stuff, but if there's any questions on the build, let me know down below, and I'll update you guys in the future with like a more min-max one, because again, this is a 0 divine build. I think this whole build could probably be built about 1-ish divine, I want to say. I think some of these gems were like 10, 15 a piece, just like because it's level 20. But obviously getting a level 21 is kind of nice over here, but quality really matters on certain ones. And this obviously needs to be upgraded. We can increase the quality of that. Mirage Archer, we can also get, like, we have so many extra revenues of damage. So we'll update you guys in the future with it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit subscribe, turn the bell if you want to see the update to like the more advanced version of this build later. Once I get the extra power charge, we're gonna get even more crit, but we're actually pretty good on crit right now anyways. Even at like 50-ish, it's probably like more like 50 to, I'd say, once we get on the brittle ground that this does apply. I mean, we could probably be at like maybe 60-70% crit, and remember, our hits are lucky, so it rolls the thing 2 times, which is fantastic. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.